Hello and welcome everybody. This is Chart Request Live. We do this show every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Stock Market TV. It's usually at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Today, 1:15, because I don't know what it is, Thursday or something, but late start to everything today. So sorry, and thank you everyone for your patience. How are you, Patrick?
I'm doing great, doing well. Excited for a new episode. We were a little late, but here we are.
So listen, big day today for the market. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I mean, every day is a big day, but
There we go. Add the watermark here. So the bond market, I think, is where we should go first. This is the US 10-year yield. And while it's still in a larger range, okay, it looks like we're breaking a big level in the middle of the range and headed back towards the lower bounds. So draw the larger range, something like this, right, Pat? But this
yeah,
is a, pretty big year-to-date trend line. You could flip it to a line chart, several touches so far this year. And this looks like a little top for now. So what's the downside in US 10s? We can head back to 3.25, right, to the lower bounds of this range. 100 basis points. What does that do to the interest rate sensitive stocks? Well, here are the home builders today.
wow, look at that.
Notice
5%.
how it probably wasn't a top. I think you get confirmation that something like this is definitely not a top using the VWAP, right, from the range high. Regional banks, all the banks, just loving this. They had Powell the last 2 days, right, with some really dovish stuff that the banks liked, and then they had the CPI come in today, confirming what Powell was saying the last couple of days to Congress. So regional banks look fantastic, and you would think the ARChy stuff, the speculative stuff works.
Man, I've given up on trying to expect a rebound from them. I mean, we've seen recoveries from all the other trashy areas of the market, even if they haven't been like sustainable rebounds,
Yeah,
like solar and China, things like that. But ARC stocks just haven't been able to get off the mat.
yeah, it's pretty bad. Look at the bios though today.
Biotech looks phenomenal.
So biotech is in that ARC theme of speculative growth, right?
Yeah, and it's not just biotech. I was looking at a few other biotech, PBE and BBH. Look at those two too.
So this one
I just
looks a
clicked the
lot better
button.
than Kathy Wood's genomics fund, huh?
Yeah,
Crazy. So this is biotech and genome. Awesome. Really nice breakout. And then this is the ARC genomics fund. Looks more like a breakdown. Wow. And then the biggest development today is small caps. I think we can finally start calling this a valid trend reversal and drawing it like all of the other indexes before it, right, Pat? So
yeah,
huge
and
laggard.
real quick, I think we've complained about this chart so much, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just been so long to get going, but I think in a way, the fact that it's taking so long, it might be setting up for something really, really good down the road. You know what I mean? It might be setting up for a much more sustainable trend than if we were to just kind of create this nice and easy small base kind of thing. I
I think
think
you're
the
right, Pat.
frustrating process is creating something good down the line.
We have had volatility contraction this whole year, while I should probably draw it like this, while price has been ranging, right? Because we had great Q4 for small caps last year, right? But then all year just coiling, and something like the Bollinger Band with any sort of measure of volatility has hit just a historic extreme in terms of a low level, which speaks to really tight range or a contraction volatility. Off of those periods, you tend to get a huge expansion of volatility, and we're really getting that to the upside here today. This is the best day for small caps since, I don't know, November of last year. So not bad. And then before we hit the requests, one more thing that's going on is profit taking from the winners, right? So the small cap to large cap technology ratio, you would have to go all the way back to, oh goodness, cycles and cycles ago, maybe forever, Pat. right? We took out this 2021 reading, at least right now. So January of 2021, this chart's showing you Russell 2000 versus XLK. So it's just saying this is the biggest single day outperformance from small caps, maybe forever, when compared against large cap tech. So maybe that great rotation finally is getting started here. Typically, when new trends begin, you get some sort of momentum thrust, and we've definitely looked back at a rate of change and call this one of them, I think, in the future.
Yeah, you know, Steve, this is kind of the perfect resolution because it's like yesterday you and I were talking about how the Nasdaq semis and the S&P were all at their upside targets, right? So if those are going to start going down, you'd expect the broader market to all fall down. The only way the broader market isn't going to fall down is if smalls and all the other things that weren't working start to work. And we're kind of seeing that happen, right? You're seeing the bigger cap plays come down a little bit today, and you're seeing the small caps and some of those other areas step up.
So Pat is saying targets are being hit. Absolutely. And wouldn't it make sense if, I don't know, all year, this year, the major averages have been moving higher, at least the large cap weighted averages, been cruising higher, while everybody complains that breadth is poor and that most stocks are not doing that well. Most stocks look more like the Russell 2000.
The market listens. The market listens to us.
Imagine if all of a sudden the major averages start to struggle because the Mag 7 stocks are consolidating, like the Russell 2000 consolidated for the first 2 quarters of this year. But then everything beneath the surface is really working. You could have sideways indexes in an environment where breadth is expanding and everything is getting better and better beneath the surface. So if we go to that sort of an environment, just be wary and ready for the misleading headlines, right?
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
What do we got? Where do you want to start first? Let's see. Let's start with Twist Biosciences since we were talking about biotech.
Love it. One of my favorite stocks right now. You like the line charts?
I do like the lines.
Like this? I'm like kind of I'm in a line chart mood today.
Well, I know, listen, we always defer to lines, but we tend to use, or I mean, we always defer to closing prices, but we tend to use candlestick charts a lot, and they can be kind of noisy, whereas lines, just the closing prices. So you're probably right. We don't use them enough, right?
No, we don't. We really don't. They're underrated. This one's so clean, Pat. Look at this base.
Yeah.
I think we're there. I think just the leadership here, the reversal's really already been in my opinion. We've been talking about this one since, I don't know, this time, earlier, this time last year.
Well, you've been talking about this one as a relative strength leader within biotech too, and I think that's the important thing, right?
Has been for a long time. It had a big short interest at one point. I'm not sure what it is today. We're above any VWAP that you could drop here. And then if you drop it from the all-time high, we're even above that. So I think, if you want to buy on strength here, 55 is pretty good, or the pivot highs, which are probably around more like 53. But really, if we're above this VWAP from the all-time highs, which isn't until 48, I think build a position and anticipate that we soon are back in the 50s and above this little August 2022 high.
Short interest is 18.5. That's pretty lofty.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's come down. I mean, it was at 26% at the start of the year, 26%. So it's come down a little, but man.
It makes sense when you see the kind of momentum that comes into this name when it's in rally mode. So we love having that short interest. It's just a catalyst for a big move.
All right. This one's from Jonathan. Thoughts on SEZL? That's Sezzle Inc. Never heard of this one. A buy around 96, closing at all-time highs with a tight stop, or would you wait because it's not enough price history?
This one's a 500 million.
And he asked a good question here. How much price history would you feel comfortable with? Is it more a question? Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
This is enough. First of all, the more the better, always, right? But this is enough. Payment platform that enables bank-to-bank transfers. 1 quarter minimum, right? I want not just 3 months of price history, but I want a 10Q, right? I want at least one earnings report.
Okay.
So 3 months minimum. And then you'll get something like this, right? So this one you could have gotten involved in coming off a little base like this because you got enough price history at that point. That was back all the way in December of last year. Had an earnings report out. At this point, you could play it against this crazy looking candle here. That's
where would you have drawn the neckline there? Like, where would you have considered a breakout?
Of that little base?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funky one, huh?
Yeah.
Like this. I would probably do it like that.
That makes sense.
I would also have something like this on it. All right, so that would be a confirmation.
Definitely, yeah.
It's the
And
VWAP.
look how you got the successful retest there too.
Yep, right here. So this is the level now. I think you use that intraday IPO day high. 80. 80 is the level.
Interesting IPO chart. You know, we've been seeing better and better IPO charts lately. I hope we see that continue. It would make sense if this is a bull market, right?
We really have, Pat. And it is nice. Just gives us more options.
Yeah.
More charts to look at.
And it's nice when all these issues don't come public at once, like we did, like we saw in 2021, right? It's a small window, everybody went public.
Yeah.
Let's do Square. A lot of fintech.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the FinX. Let's see if ARC could do this one right. There's the ARC F. That looks okay.
It looks okay.
It's okay. Probably a lot of Coinbase.
Yeah.
Square. Probably not a top, right? Probably not a top. So you could draw this one in a couple of different ways, depending on your time frame and your objective here with this trade. You got a big base shaping up, but it's not completed yet. So this trend is sideways. Also illustrated by the flat 200-day moving average shown in gray. All right, so this is a base that we will like one day, but today probably just needs more work, right?
Well said.
Like this, you could drop a VWAP from the year-to-date high. But if you zoom in, right, as we wait for this base to complete, I have a feeling that this is most likely to be like all those other tops. By that, I mean probably not a top at all. So here's Square, you know, nothing but opportunity cost since the fourth quarter of last year. Is this going to be a top right in the middle of a bull market where small caps are just completing a trend reversal and the speculative growth indexes and fintech indexes look like they've completed a trend reversal? Probably not a top. So I think you could play it that way. That level, these pivot lows right around 61.
Looks good.
Up there, back to the range highs, confirmation at the VWAP around 72.
I like it. Yeah. Let's look at COHR next.
Nice base.
I have a feeling that's the 61.8, but
buddy.
Man, what is wrong with us? We've looked at too many charts.
Yeah, so this one well on its way, right? I think like Pat said, you got a fib here. You also have a shelf of some activity. Kind of looks like Palantir to me. 72 and a quarter to 75 and a half.
Why don't you pull, yeah, that gets you back to 100, right? 99.
Yes.
I see what you're talking about, that blow off top in Palantir and how it kind of created some messiness. And wow. Wow. Very, very similar.
Wonder what they do.
So COHR engages in the development, refinery, manufacturing, and marketing of engineered materials and optoelectronics.
Aerospace and defense, I see in there. That would make sense.
Okay. Are they?
Saw it in the trading view description.
Oh, okay.
That they sell to the aerospace and defense or service the aerospace.
I see the famous S word too in there, semiconductor.
It's a good chart.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Chipotle next, and then we only have one more. I'm sorry, two more.
I'm hungry.
I
I haven't had
know.
lunch yet.
I know.
Can't talk to me about Chipotle right now. This stock is so good. Look at this thing. Ooh.
What do you get at Chipotle?
I haven't eaten there in 10 years.
Yeah.
That's how you could tell how hungry I am.
Listen,
All
if
the good
I'm eating Chipotle in San Diego and I'm 15 minutes from Mexico, just
yeah, that right?
yeah.
No, I can't do that. And I got all the Cubans over here, so
There you go.
64, probably not a top when we zoom in.
Look at that coming in right there.
Drop a fib from some of these pivot lows. There you go. I think we know this isn't a top. If we can reclaim the VWAP from the June highs, but that's not going to come in for a while. So I think, this would be a more aggressive setup, right? Maybe you use this VWAP from the January low as confirmation. That's right here. But we got to hold this little gap zone right here.
Yeah.
This little range has to hold before all else. And then you got the 261 right at this shelf of highs from May and April. That comes in around 64.
I like it.
Long-term trend looks great, though, on this one. You want to be thinking about buying dips in names that look this good.
You ready for a uranium play?
Oh, give it to me. Uranium, red hot.
Denison Mines.
Loved it. I love Denison. I know. This is Dan's request. I was excited.
You got it right. Yeah. He says no one's been talking about uranium in a little while, and Denison with a huge day rate of change yesterday. Whole space had a good day. Looking to trade the common, maybe buy short-term weakness near $2.10 or $2.15 range after this big candle. How are you guys seeing?
Yeah, so Dan's talking about just yesterday's performance. Best day since January. One of the best days that, trailing 12, 18 months. So big move. Like we talked about, we want to see new trends or pattern resolutions kicked off with some big time momentum. And I think that's what happened with these uranium stocks yesterday. So this is a nice little consolidation here in the context of an underlying uptrend, right, off of the pandemic lows. Uranium stocks were great off of the 2020 lows, but we've been sideways, right, for 3 years, blowing out of here with some big momentum. We want to see things like overbought readings at the same time. Momentum's got some catching up here to do, but the whole space looks good. URA also looks like it's coming out of a base. I think we need more. We need some confirmation here, right? I want to see an overbought reading.
And see, with both of those uranium charts, actually that one too, I could kind of see little head and shoulders to the right there, and they're not breaking down. Maybe not with this one, but with the other ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, this is head and shouldery, right?
Yeah.
And look where it's happening too.
Right. But they're not breaking down.
No.
They've had plenty of time.
Uranium. So DNN, let's just give some levels here. And when you zoom out, the base is really nice too. 291 for stop. If we're above, call it 215. From there, 414. Look at this base, right? The further you zoom out, the more you like a name like this. I like this 411 for the next stop.
There you go.
Because this is a $2 uranium mining stock, right? So you don't want to feed the ducks too soon in these kinds of high beta names. I think you have price memory at those 2011 highs around 4, and then you also have the 261 in at 2, out at 4. Nice double. Probably happens pretty quickly too. A name like
go big or go home. But you're saying, to your point, you wouldn't unload it at 4? Would you maybe unload half, throw a stop at $3, let the rest run, or?
How long do you want to be in the trade for, right? Like I think what's going on with uranium is a secular thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what if this shapes up to be one of those coal stocks, right? That went from $1.50 to 300. You know what I mean? Like a CEIX or something like that. Is that how you're thinking about this, or no?
I don't think they move that fast. What some of these coal stocks did off of the pandemic lows was absolutely insane. But uranium was kind of in that conversation too, right? With some of the biggest movers. off the 2020
Well,
lows.
especially if the tailwinds that people are talking about for uranium actually play out.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the whole basis of this trade is like this big shift, right?
Yep.
So it's not just going to be a small winner if it plays out. It's going to be a big winner probably.
So this stock, Denison, was up. It bottomed in March of 2020, and it peaked out in November of 21. Year and a half later, almost up 1,000% in that time, right? So, Pat, point taken. It went from 20 cents to $2 last time, 10x. That could certainly happen again. You always have to play mega trends like this by ear, right? Like sure, it's one thing to say, yeah, I like the idea of owning this for the next 3 to 5, I don't know, maybe 10 years. But sometimes you have accelerated cycles. Maybe the move happens a lot faster, right? You really have to monitor it and monitor the trend, especially the structural trend, right, for a time frame that long. So I would like to own my uranium stocks for, several years or more. I think this base takes a really long time to complete and keeps moving higher, but we'll see. For now, I think 4 is a good next stop. And if you want something crazy and put it away forever, and everything I'm saying ends up being true about this being some sort of mega trend that lasts a decade, 1450 is the old all-time high.
Oh man, could you imagine? Wow.
It's the 1109% fib too.
All right, I love this one. All right, so this one comes from Kareem, or I might be saying that wrong. I have a position in KGC.
In Ross.
Yeah, he's doing it through calls, like the January $7 calls.
Not an options, Joe.
I'm sorry, January 2026. So that's like
leap. He's in leaps. Great.
Yeah,
I get that.
$7. I'd love to see what Pat and Steve go over some areas to watch.
So
he said, this is my favorite part. He says, maybe drop a WAP. I love it.
So we love buying leaps in monster-based breakouts, right? Like I think the most recent leaps that we put on, Sean and I, were Morgan Stanley.
That's a good one.
Look at that base, 25.
Yeah.
The bigger the base, the better. And while this one might not be a Morgan Stanley base, it's still a really nice base, right? I think you could probably draw this super thick, Pat. Doesn't really matter. But we're coming out of it. This one's really working. Or flip it to a daily. You see the 200-day moving average curling higher. I think we get some big confirmation here around 10, right? That's the prior cycle high. And then we keep climbing up the right-hand side of this base with a target up towards these old record highs, 25, 30. This is the kind of chart you do want to use leaps on.
Yeah.
100%. Love it.
I mean, if gold's going to 3,000 an ounce, wouldn't you expect this thing to revisit its 2011 highs, or what is that, 2009 highs?
I got some leaps on this one right now.
Oh yeah, the Wheaton precious metals. That's a great play right now. I really like that one too.
Yeah, listen, gold is working, silver's working. These charts look good. They look good for trades, and then ones like Wheaton and Kinross and the big bases, they look good to just own.
And for the first time in a while, silver actually looks better than gold. I can't remember the last time I said that, but
I mean, look at this thing, right?
Yeah,
another base. Let's go.
Beautiful.
Gold highs are the next stop. Silver could have a double in it.
Well, guess what? It's the best time of the show. We get to turn to the chat. What's going on, people? Sorry we were a little late today. Let's go to this first request here. Actually, let's take a look at Berkshire.
Ooh, so tight. All coiled up.
That's exactly what Mark here in the chat says. Berk, all coiled up.
Ooh.
He's looking at SMCI too.
Oh, you want to see that?
Yeah, let's look at that one too.
It's the same pattern.
I was gonna say Berkshire. Yeah, bottom line is they're just waiting. They're waiting. No. They're cooking up for something good or bad.
A lot of people don't know this, Pat, but SMCI and Berkshire are very similar businesses, right?
You're joking, right?
That's the only way to explain something like this, right?
You're joking, right?
These guys must be peers. I mean, this is a pretty tight correlation for two companies that have absolutely nothing to do with each other. But it is. I mean, that's crazy. So we've been joking about that internally and on some of our shows. That's funny. Look, you play them the same way. They're coming off of monster uptrends. Both of these stocks are cycle leaders, right? Doing great. You can draw out these coils. We are definitely going to drop some WAPs. I draw these in so many different ways. Go back to the candles.
I thought this was SMCI for a second too.
Looks like it.
But I mean, it might as well be, right?
Looks just like it. But the point is, what is the pattern? We came off a really nice rally, right? Q4 of last year into the beginning of this year. And then both of these have just been stuck sideways since like February.
Yeah.
You know, just ranging within the context of a nice uptrend. Back above VWAP in the case of Berkshire. I think maybe use this shelf of highs confirmation.
Really healthy consolidation there.
417.
It's been going on since late February, right? So it's about time. We've been in a bull market in the broader market, so
and
it's
I
about
think
time to join in on the party.
Like you talk about the all the targets that are being hit, right?
Yeah.
Google, there was a time when this was consolidating for a while within the context of an uptrend, and then it popped and it rallied, and now it's like the same thing as NASDAQ 100, where if you were in it, it's like, well, this is a great place to maybe take some off the table, right? Right at that 161.8 fib. And it's like, okay, what do we do with that? You know, now we got some fresh capital to redeploy. Then you want to look at something like Berkshire or Supermicro that have been coiling and are probably a good place for some fresh entries. So Supermicro, the same thing, right? Boom.
All right, let's go on to Jason's request here. He wants to look at either PWR or BEP.
Quanta.
Hey, let me ask you though. What do you think's cleaner, Berkshire or Supermicro?
Supermicro.
Okay.
It's more volatile, right? It's how much money do you want to make if you're right, and then also lose if you're wrong. Right. Numbers, both of those numbers are going to be higher with Supermicro. So
and I think with this one too, and I know I'm going to speak for you because I know how you're thinking about this one. If this one resolves lower, if it resolves in the direction that you'd expect, right, or against the prevailing trend, that's a pretty bearish sign, not only for SMCI, but I would take that as a broader sign for a bad sign for the market too, because this has been a leader. It's a leading group within a leader. It's a leading stock within a leading group, right? So
it's even more than that. This is a poster child
for
what bulls are promising us is the reason why we're in such a nice bull market right now, right?
Right.
The AI revolution. This is one of the big AI stories. You can't have those names kind of fall apart. They could be sideways. This is fine, right? They could do something like what Dell did, or I don't know, Broadcom sell off a little bit. But you don't want NVIDIA and Supermicro to start rolling over here.
You do not. That's all right. Let's we'll go back to Quanta, PWR and BEP.
What a nice uptrend, right? Just zoomed out on it. Just check this thing out. Really nice.
Talk about those long-term breakouts. We got to come up with a name for those long-term breakouts other than long-term breakout.
The monster base.
The monster base. I like that. Monster base.
That drives me crazy. All right.
I gotta help you set up your fibs.
I know. Look, this is it. Against the 161.8, we could draw it like a failed top, right? Probably won't be, especially a stock this strong. And then confirmation with that VWAP. I think that's a good level. So that happens around 268. But if we're above 246, it's probably just chopping around in a continuation pattern that eventually resolves higher.
I like it. You want to take a look at BEP? His other request real quick?
It would be, the target would be 300. BEP.
Man, PW.
This is too messy. There's too much stuff out there that looks too good right now to waste your time on something like this. It's not to say it won't work, or eventually it's going to probably catch up, but it could be.
Is this a REIT?
Infrastructure.
No, it's utilities.
Utility. Huh. They have a bunch of different public companies, Brookfield. So no, there's too much primary uptrends out there. and fresh reversal patterns to buy something like this. This is arguably still a downtrend, maybe, the early stages of basing. So, a new sideways trend, but those can take a lot of time. Like that would be like getting involved in the biotechs back here in May of 2022, right? And look at how much basing we did. You get years of sideways sometimes, and you're just, not that you're losing money, but you're just stuck in here not making money in other things that look a lot better. So that's what I think when I see primary trend like this, like the one in BP. Now this needs time. Maybe you start dipping your toes in around 28.50 if we take out these pivot highs, but I think 32 is probably an even better level.
All right, Biff, what's going on? He says, "Yo, Strazawilla." He smashed their two last names together. Longtime listener, first time requester. Check out ECL. Is this one of those water utilities?
This is a big Bill Gates stock. Ecolab.
Ecolab. Oh, you know what? I was looking at this one a few weeks ago. Beautiful breakout there. Beautiful. This one might take the cake today.
Prior cycle highs. That's your level. Boom. Looks like it's going, Pat. Looks like it's going. So 237, 240-ish.
You know what I think the important thing is here too? You got the breakout a couple weeks ago, but you also got the successful retest, right? It had its chance to break down, and it hasn't, right? So this is almost better than a fresh breakout, right?
Got a little scoop, trap the bears, get them all excited, then a nice little, maybe a little short covering squeeze.
Well, nope.
Higher, back above those prior cycle highs, and now we're off. Looks like a fresh closing all-time high is coming today.
So you said this is a big Bill Gates stock, huh?
Yeah, he owns a lot.
70 billion
in this one.
Yeah. That's a nice one. That's probably my pick for today. But let's do TAN, and we'll look at a couple other. This one's from Mark. Yeah, let's look at TAN first, and then maybe we'll look at some of the other clean energy plays.
Yeesh.
Yeesh is right. At what point is solar going to become an AI play? Because it's kind of solar, and I don't understand this, but solar kind of gets grouped with semiconductors. I think whatever goes into the solar cells is probably similar.
Chips. Look, this is a terrible looking chart in a range in the context of a structural downtrend.
But is it bottoming, Steve?
I don't know, Pat. Ask me in a month. Look, it's not showing much evidence of bottoming right now.
Throw an RSI on there. Do we at least have that?
In this tape?
Oh man, I was hoping to at least see like a not oversold reading, but just keeps hitting it.
I mean, this stands out on the weekly RSI. If you're dying for something positive to say about this chart, I could say this.
And do you want to say at what point that would be confirmed?
Oh. I would want to see pivot highs here. The right answer.
I was even going to say break out of the range first, like that.
Textbook answer could be this 40-50, right? The low that corresponds with the RSI low. But something like this, I would want to see more.
Yeah, I would want to see the highs.
Yeah, I agree. Range VWAP or something. You could do it in different ways. Depends on, how quickly you're trying to trade it too. But the MACD has been diverging as well. So that, not terrible. But again, same comment as PEG. It's, do you really want to own this? Look at the other charts that, we've been talking about on the show. This sounds like, or looks like, a headache. One that I do like in the space, was involved, got uninvolved, want to get re-involved, but I'm not in it right now because I don't have time to just sit around and trade all day, Pat. Or maybe I would get better entries. I'm just kidding. But the Nova looks good. This one's got a monster short interest.
I actually don't think so. I don't think sitting in front of the computer all day watching your positions tick for tick. I don't think there's anything good about that.
No,
I really don't.
No, I'm talking more about a lot of times with what I do, I'll have alerts go off that I just can't service in time.
Yeah.
if I'm on a show or something. But this base looks fantastic in Nova. If I had to buy a solar energy stock right here, this one would be at the top of my list.
There you go. Let's do UCTT, and then I want to get to some of Bill's picks here.
Ultra Clean Holdings. Okay, almost
There you go.
getting there.
It's trying.
All right. Primary trend is up. But we're kind of in a strange range here where there's just too much price memory for my liking. Show you what I mean.
Yeah, Bill's talking about how ENPH, Tan's largest holding.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Man.
Look, that one got booted from the S&P 500, I think, not long ago.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Look at all the volume that's occurred in this range that we're in right now. Right? All the price memory here from 2021. So I think really for this one, you want to break out at least above. Maybe you could draw through this blow off. Right?
Yeah.
You want to be comfortable that this entire consolidation, this range, including the 2021 prior cycle highs, is resolved before you get involved. And I think that doesn't really happen until 61 and then 65. And then from there, 91.
I like it. Let's just rip through a few of these. Brian Harris, thoughts on Joby? Joby. This one I know has shown up on our work a lot the last year or so. Nice candle today.
I'm in the Archer because I want to believe in these mini helicopter rides.
Yeah, me too. These are the like drone taxis, right?
Yeah.
Man, I hope this thing works out too. I really did.
I want to believe in a better future than the one where I have to, schlep around these crappy airports. And
I was sitting in traffic thinking about this company yesterday. I kid you not. Just thinking, man, when's the day we could just fly above this and just go?
So I'm interested in names like Joby and Archer and all this cool stuff. And
this is a Russell name, right? This is one of those classic, as Bill points out here, in the Russell, just kind of classic stock that would take off in a small cap bull environment, right?
I agree. It's also speculative.
Perfect story. Yeah, perfect story stock.
ARKy. It's small cap, right?
It's not an ARK holding though, right? It's ARKy. It would be, but it's not. Yeah.
Right? Innovation, disruption. These things look like, something out of the Jetsons. So look, I think you need it above this VWAP from 2023 highs. I don't think I hate drawing wedges, so just never mind that. Yeah, that's really it. So 684, and then there's more around 715. Then we could start to say, ooh, nice trend reversal.
Hey, but their little helicopter flew over 500 miles. Good for them.
So, and Archer, I like more. It does look a little bit better. And then
that's another robo-taxi play?
I'm probably speaking out of line. I don't know how closely these guys compete. I'm pretty sure they both do stuff like that.
Steve, I hope we live long enough to see a robo-taxi bull market.
Imagine a world. So I would draw like a thick line here, and we're starting to get through it here. So the range you would want to be buying Archer is like right around here. You got the VWAP from the December high, and this one has warrants.
Oh, you want to talk about those a little bit?
No, lawyers wouldn't like that.
Okay.
What's next?
There's a little bit of a buzz about ACHR being added to ARK today. A few of the people in the chat are talking about ACHR.
Cool. This is it.
Man.
All right. What's the favorite chart? Shut this thing down.
We got to shut it down? All right. Sorry we didn't get to some of these. PSCI, I think that was more just he wanted to talk about some of these smaller cap industrials. AMKR coming out of the base from 2001. We didn't look at that one. AbbVie we didn't look at. HE
small cap industrials having their best day since like this monster candle off of the Q4 lows last year.
Look at that.
Can only be interpreted as very bullish, taking out the VWAP from the year-to-date range highs. It's go time. This one I mean, crazy to think, Pat, but also not a top.
Right, right. You know, you've been saying that an awful lot lately. I hope you're not pushing your luck, but so far you haven't been wrong.
I told the guys today it might be a top in calling for,
You're calling for fake tops, yeah.
so
No, you nailed it. James says shout out Cuban food. I agree.
good.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to hit some of these next week. AMKR guys, come back on Tuesday. I'll be on the charts, so you'll get to hear you'll get to see my beautiful breakdown of that. So,
I'm gonna,
Steve,
yeah, I'm gonna say Ecolab was my favorite today.
you stole mine. That's I'd have to say that too.
Yeah, it was good. All right, good. That's like a confluence of evidence.
But there were a ton. Like I think Twist was a nice one too, especially the short interest there.
Oh,
Pretty sure
yeah, I'll
short
take
interest.
Twist. I forgot about Twist.
All right, yeah, leave me with
Ecolab.
ECL.
I'll take Twist. All right.
Okay, cool.
Deal. All right, buddy.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Thanks so much. Make sure you get our your requests to us by email. That way we can cover them first. Just shoot those tickers over to questions@stockmarketmedia.com. We'll get to them on Tuesday. Steve?
That's it. Thanks everybody for joining us. As always, join us on the morning show. 8:30 tomorrow. 8:30 every day on Stock Market TV. Happy Thursday.
Trade them well.